Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scenic View podcast. We have an exciting episode ahead. This is Jonathan Owens, Communications Director, joined by Artis Watkins, our Executive Director, and Sam Klein, our podcast producer. We also have our statewide officers in the room that will be introduced in a little bit. So,
yeah.
Stay tuned. All right. So the music has ended, and that means the show begins. What's going on in the world, Artis? I know the legislature came back this week. It's actually a lot of excitement over there from what I've understood.
It was. I mean, it feels like they were there for a whole week.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for 2 days.
Wow.
But that was a jam-packed, emotionally charged 2 days.
Yeah.
And there were a number of things that were thrown out there, Sunday night into Monday that we understood might be considered on the Senate side. At the end of the day, only a few of those things were considered by the Senate and the House. The biggest one would be Iryna's law for Iryna Zarutska, the young lady that was killed on the Charlotte transit system a few weeks ago. And that centered around a lot of criminal justice reforms.
Mm-hmm.
It was controversial in so much as there were a number of Democrats saying, we're not doing anything about the mental illness crisis, which kind of drove this scenario. We talked about this on this podcast. This offender, it was like he just clicked into gear. He was just kind of almost sleeping against the window, opens his eyes, and immediately some brutal violence happens, and he kills this young lady. And it was just so instantaneous. There was no interaction between them, that it was pretty clear what we all find out later. He was suffering from schizophrenia. From the story as we're being told now is he was very ill, and his family had reported it. The court filings show that it had been discussed in court. He, at one point in time, supposedly called the police while he was with the police because he wanted the material that was in his brain to be removed that was making him want to do bad things. So the Democrats took issue with what was missing in their mind in the bill. And I think for the Republicans, it was like, look, we feel like y'all are being too soft on crime because what we're wanting to do is make sure we, A, bring the death penalty back. We've talked about last week, there is no moratorium on the death penalty in terms of a statutory sense.
Yeah.
But we stopped doing it a while back, mainly because the doctors didn't want to do it. They didn't want to participate because of the Hippocratic Oath.
Yeah.
So one of the things that got bandied about in conversation was maybe bringing back things like that are legal and that they do in other states. And one of those things is firing squads. Things just got very controversial from there on the Senate side. And then when it got to the House side, none of it was any less controversial. I do think where we're left with all of this is the thing we've been talking about since the beginning on this podcast because of what our members do.
Yeah.
Our members are in the criminal justice system. They're in the mental health system. Some of them are in jobs where the two mix. State employees who work in this day in and day out, and city and county who work in it day in, day out. Those are the folks that all elected officials need to be listening to. Nothing personal to the people running these agencies, but they're not doing the work. So what they need to do at the legislature, the governor's office, everywhere, is hear from these employees because what they have to tell you is sometimes shocking, but always eye-opening and really kind of puts it in perspective. And it was very clear to me those voices would have been useful to absolutely everybody in the room in the last 2 days.
One thing that did get left out this week was the budget again, right? No state budget.
Yeah, that wasn't any shock to us. It's strange times, but there's so much going on that
I don't know. Maybe I should not.
There's so many issues that the legislature is feeling pressure to address these issues. They're not coming together on a budget, though. And frankly, an argument can be made until you can come together on a budget. Some of these issues, especially where criminal justice and mental health intersect, won't get better. I know, Emily, we talked earlier, we'll have to have you back for a whole other podcast because you have significant experience in this.
And I will be here because it is a serious matter.
So there was some talk of the pay raises, right?
Okay, so there was one bill that was put out there, Back the Blue, which would have given some good raises to a number of folks in either sworn law enforcement positions or some what the legislature would kind of deem quasi-law enforcement. And like correctional personnel, correctional officers, any other correctional personnel are never included whenever it's sworn law enforcement officers. Some people in the public assume, well, somebody working in a prison is going to get everything that law enforcement gets, and that is not what happens. Some of the law enforcement benefits after work done by SEANC in the wake of the deaths at Pasquotank and Bertie, the murders of correctional personnel, some of those law enforcement benefits are now given to state employees, but not all. And one of the things we noticed in this Back the Blue bill was that the bonuses would only be given to sworn law enforcement officers, and the correctional personnel were left out of that.
As always, right?
Right. And some officers, actually, sworn officers working through the Department of Insurance were also left out, or it looked like they were left out. I think at the end of the day, the word is they would have been covered by the bill, but it was a confusing time with bills flying, but people are still waiting on the money.
Bills flying everywhere and not a lot happening from them.
Right.
So speaking of not a lot happening, there's no update really on the Duke Aetna fiasco, but Treasurer Briner did put out a video yesterday.
Yeah, Treasurer Briner seems ticked.
Yeah.
Really angry. And he should, because we actually, we don't know. That's our big beef. We don't know what we're paying these hospitals. We understand we're probably paying them way, way, way too much. Well, on social media, a former board member of the Health Plan Board of Trustees said, yeah, Duke's getting 350 or 400%.
Wow.
Using Medicare as a reference point. That's how much reimbursement they're getting, which would be twice what you need to make a profit. Not shocking, but I got to tell you, that explains a lot of the anger coming from Treasurer Briner. This would end up costing everybody in the system, not just people who go to Duke Health. If Duke Health was given whatever it is they're wanting, Treasurer Briner made it clear it would raise everyone's costs in the plan. They would have to go and do another premium increase potentially next year.
Yeah.
For everybody. So I don't think Duke's doing a massive PR blitz on this. But at the end of the day, this is a tough one to win when you're already getting paid
that much.
Sick money.
Yeah. And I realized after I was listening back to last episode, and I think that we talk about those percentages without a little context for the listeners.
Yeah, we do.
So when we say like 195% of Medicare, so Medicare sets a rate that they reimburse providers, doctors, hospitals for certain services. And then on average, you said that
it's just under 200%.
So
of
that
Medicare
means
on average that private insurance companies pay hospitals for the folks insured with their company to go to them.
So that means twice as much as Medicare.
Yeah.
Right?
And if we're paying Duke that much, how much are we paying the rest of the big players in this scenario? A whole lot.
So when you say 400%, that's 4 times what the Medicare rate is.
Yes.
Now we can assume that the Medicare rate would be low because that's
why
obviously it's
just under 200% supposedly of Medicare is where that sweet spot is, where you can operate a hospital efficiently, safely, but profitably.
So as that board member said, that would be 4 times what the Medicare rate. Now we've heard instances where there's up to 9 times, right? Up to 900%.
Somewhere between 8 and 9 times.
More than enough, right?
Now, okay, so, and you ready for something else to complicate it? But this is a pretty big deal. So the legislature's having to deal with the effects of the big, beautiful bill. And one of those is we are a state that expanded Medicaid a couple of years ago. The way we expanded Medicaid, if more than 90% of the money didn't come from the feds, a trigger would be pulled. So there's problems. We can't continue to do this unless the legislature is going to kick in extra money. So everybody's talking about a Medicaid rebase. And I've had members ask me, what does that even mean? Rebase is apparently nothing more than what does it cost to keep going, no changes. If your Medicaid system stayed exactly the same, do you have the money to do it, or would the legislature have to put in more? We're hundreds of millions shy, even after what the legislature already put in. So that leads the question, where do you go to get hundreds of millions of dollars? And Secretary Sangvi was interviewed this past week, and I heard the interview, and he confirmed something that had been a question in my mind. Are they going to ask providers? Are they going to ask hospitals for more? And he said, we'd have to. We'd have to ask to lower what we're paying them because we're not going to make it otherwise. Well, that made me wonder something that I'd already been wondering about the timing of Duke saying we need more money. Everybody's seen this coming. And for years, the state health plan has basically subsidized health care in this state for everybody. We paid too much to keep everybody else's rates down. Let's face facts. And so now we have this crisis where Medicaid is going to be saying, hey, providers, we need to give you less. It makes total sense to me. I'm not, I can't say that's what's happening. I'm not in the boardroom at Duke, but it kind of looks like, hey, we'll hedge our bets. If we're going to have to get less money from Medicaid, let's make sure we get more from the state health plan. It's a question.
Yeah. So we, once again,
all
almost
these things
seem
are
like
connected.
A piggy bank, right?
Everything's always connected.
Yeah.
So state employees, you just need to be aware that it is really easy to use your plans and to use you. Really easy. It's the same way when the devastation of Hurricane Floyd happened in the late 90s. The state borrowed from reserves to deal with Hurricane Floyd recovery. Well, that's fine, but did the money ever go back?
I guess because it's probably the safest pot of money for health care there is in the state, right? I mean...
Well, it's the biggest single insurance provider.
That the state controls, too.
Yeah.
Right?
So this scrap between Aetna and Duke is going to continue to be looming over every single state employee, again, not just the ones that are in the Duke network. However, state health plan says they're willing to jettison Duke out of the system. I
like where your conspiracy brain is going there, though, because could this happen at other hospitals?
Of course. I mean, again, we've said this before, but it bears repeating. If I have a contract with public money, taxpayer money, and I don't have to tell anybody what I'm getting paid, what are the chances I'm going to be satisfied with what you're already paying me? No.
Exactly.
Probably always going to want more. You can't feed that beast enough.
Yeah. And these are nonprofit hospitals too, right?
Some of them.
Yeah. Treasurer Briner brought that up in his video.
Well, he did say people would, if they had life-threatening illnesses, they would continue to be treated by Duke. The plan would still cover them.
I think it's kind of hard for Duke to play this card, though, because there are other options in the triangle. Like there's Wake Med and UNC Health.
But the fear of patients is huge, and especially if you are suffering from something terrible and your doctors happen to be at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why the treasurer pointed out, if you have a life-threatening illness, something like that, we're not going to ask you to break up your continuity of care. You will still be cared for within that system. It's for everything else that he says he's willing to say, no, you can't go to Duke now. Because if Duke doesn't want to play ball with a tenth of the commercial market, that's their choice.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Sam? Any thoughts?
My main thought is that I did see a question on our social media that was asking about the Duke Aetna situation of those who choose not to use Duke as their health care. Or people are already frustrated of, wait, my premium's going to go up because of this, even though I don't even use Duke.
Yeah, people lose allegiance to those facilities.
No, she's saying, so I've seen that question too, like, I don't use Duke. Why should I care about this? Why would my premiums go up?
Why should my premium have to go up
because the system, if we decided to pay Duke 600%, that comes out of the general overall healthcare plan. Yeah. And there's less to pay the bills with. And so the only way they have found that's the path of least political resistance is to put it on the members. So it absolutely would come back to every member.
Yeah.
And I understood the irritation from that because I was thinking the same way. I was like, what? Sure, I would be mad if I had to pay more because of this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone should be mad, just in general. I mean, because...
Correct. And again, that's why we're number one most expensive in healthcare in the country.
Well, I think it's a good time to go to our officer interviews.
Yeah, let's do something happy.
Yeah, we're excited to have them in the office, and we'll join you at the end for a little wrap-up. Hello, everyone. We have a special treat for you today. We have the incoming senior statewide officers joining us for a little discussion on the upcoming year. We have Wendell Powell, our new president.
Good evening, everybody.
We have Emily Jones, our first vice president.
Hello there.
And Stacie Crabtree, our second vice president.
Good afternoon.
And Timothy Morgan. The thing about having a statewide office and a statewide membership is, some folks live farther away than others. So Timothy Morgan is our new treasurer, and we're going to catch him in an upcoming episode. I think he's at work today.
I think that'll be good, though, because he's the new kid on the block. All of y'all have already been officers, so a lot of people know you, know a little bit about you. Him being able to do his separately kind of puts a little spotlight on him.
He'll like that.
He likes the spotlight.
Like that.
I'm looking forward to getting to know him. I hear good things from folks in District 10.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start right there. What made you guys want to move up? Let's start with Wendell.
Basically, when I first started this journey 6 years ago, I really was intent on just making changes, helping the association right itself, put more energy into our membership, getting us motivated. And as second vice president, first vice president, I was able to see how things work and get a better feel for what needs to happen to make those things a reality and to help our membership. So now that as president, upcoming, I look forward to trying to, do more things locally, get our people energetic, and get our retirees back active in our districts, and really make an impact across the state in all these state agencies. I think with a little bit of elbow grease and some positive energy, we're going to really move forward and make some great strides in the coming year.
Wendell, you're a veteran of the Scenic View podcast. You've been on, I think this might be your fourth visit to us. But you bring up a good point there. It is a huge commitment just to get to the presidency, right? So you started at the second vice president. Started at the second vice president's position. So that's 6 years in the making, right?
Yep. Well, the first 2 years I lost to the current, our past president, Kurt Montgomery. So I had to wait for 2 years for his term to end. So then I ran again. So like I said, it's been a 6-year journey, but I learned a lot, and I'm kind of glad that it went the way it went.
Yeah. Because
I was able to get stronger in certain areas, learn things that I thought I knew, but I didn't know as well as I thought I did until I could work out the kinks. So now, very seasoned, and I have a firmer understanding on how things work and why.
And Wendell, you work at the Harnett Correctional Institute. You're a captain there.
Yes.
And how long have you worked for the state?
I've been with the state over 22 years.
And you've been a Senate member about that long, right?
Same.
Let's go to Emily. You're up next. So, Emily, you were the first vice president. So you were second vice president last year, right?
I was second vice president last year.
Have you seen any step up in responsibilities for the move yet, or you haven't gotten into it that close?
Well, I haven't quite gotten into it, but I feel like being the first vice president, I will have more responsibilities than being the second vice president, and even less as treasurer, because I started out as treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
And that position requires time and energy and dedication, which all of them do. But as treasurer, you have a lot that you have to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
The staff is very good in being supportive of you in that role, so they made it very easy, but it is a lot of responsibility. But as first vice president, I believe that I would have to follow the footsteps of the president, because I would have to step up in the case that he's not able to serve in a capacity. So I have to kind of pay closer attention to what is going on around me and shadow him, so that whenever I have to step up to the plate, I'll be able to do that effectively.
Yeah, that happens more than you think, though, too. Like, you've had to step up and lead a convention, Wendell, and meetings.
Things happen, sometimes life is lifing, or there might be a time that I'm on vacation. I'm like, hey, got it.
Well, I guess that brings a good point up that you're volunteers, too, right? This is not your full-time job, so, people have lives. And Stacie, you also were treasurer, so you know the commitment that job takes. Now you're stepping into the second VP role. Is that a sigh of relief for you? Because I know the treasurer has to come up to the office every week, right? It's a lot of things to do.
Yeah, it is time consuming as far as the treasurer. But again, like Emily and Artist stated, the staff are absolutely wonderful to work for, and they work around your schedule and meet you if you need to make adjustments in order to make sure all the bills are paid. With that, so I'm looking forward to actually being more active as far as going out, meeting more people, being out visible, attending more events and stuff like that. As a treasurer, it's more so of the background stuff, not really out there as much, but stepping into the second VP position, I'm really looking forward to that and learning more of the processes and things that we can do to help other state members.
Artists, you have any?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, there are so many people I talk to either in the legislature or, that I meet through my work that are not aware that our members decide everything about this organization, starting at convention when they vote on what our legislative platform is going to be. It's not that staff is in here deciding this is the position we're going to take. And so I think that the commitment of these volunteer positions, a lot of people don't realize what a huge commitment it is until they understand. Members decide everything about this organization. So imagine being a volunteer leading the members
and answering to
who decide,
46,000
and answering to 46,000 bosses and making sure the members feel like they are, in fact, leading the organization, that they're deciding what we're going to do. So as the ones elected as leaders of the organization, what do you want to see in the coming year or two, actually, because y'all have 2-year terms?
I think the biggest part, what I would love to see, is just our members getting service and getting what they need as far as inside their agencies, getting information from SEANC to help them navigate the state better. Healthcare is a big thing right now. People still want to know, are we getting a raise? They want to know what's going on with the legislature. So we want to give them the tools and the information so that they can make informed decisions to better themselves and understand what they need to do with or how to advocate for themselves inside their agencies and within their voting districts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a huge thing for us.
And that's something that we do now because we do have our Facebook page and there's always information there. We have the podcast that people can listen to that is updated weekly. There's a scoop that comes out weekly. But it's the members' responsibility to go to these places to make themselves educated about what SEANC does for them. Because sometimes we're in the field, people say, well, SEANC isn't doing anything for me. Well, have you looked at the Facebook page? No.
Or haven't heard of us at all.
Or haven't heard at all. So it is about making sure people know who we are, what we do, and also making sure that our current members know that we are visible, but they have to come and seek us because we're seeking them.
Yeah, another thing is the morale. When we always talk about the morale being in workplaces, SEANC in generally is an association. If we can build the morale of our SEANC members, hopefully that will spread into the actual work sites.
Well, that leads to my question was, what are the big concerns that you're hearing from members, employees, and retirees right now? Usually pay is number one on the list, right?
Pay is normally what I hear.
Or lack of.
Lack of raises. They want to know, when are we going to get a raise? What is the raise going to be? Mm-hmm. And we need some help in here, particularly in the prison systems. We're there often, and we hear those complaints and about not being appreciated on the workplace.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that happens across the state in different agencies, DHHS, different facilities and institutions. So those are the main ones that we hear about, pay and being appreciated and having additional staff and legislators not being aware of the needs that they have because they don't really pay attention to the people that are actually doing the work and the boots that are on the ground.
Are you hearing a lot about the premium increases for the health plan as well?
So I've heard a few people raise concerns about the fact that they are going to be increasing that with the option or possibility of not receiving an adequate raise. So they feel that, and we've talked about it over the years, the raises are not enough to adjust with the inflation just in the general economy.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that they are talking about. And then, of course, with this whole Aetna event where premiums may go up even higher, that can create a hardship on people, especially if it comes, to increase that.
Yeah. I think if people feel like they're falling farther and farther behind every year,
Mhm.
another group that's very vocal on our social media is the retirees. You're a young retiree, if you will. You just retired a few years ago.
I
right?
did in 2022.
But for some of our members, they've been retired 15 or 20 years and their checks have not kept up with inflation at all.
No, they have not. It's tough out here because everything is going up,
Yeah.
but their pay is not going up. So a lot of folks are having to get jobs, part-time jobs to make it. So we can all do all that we can do for retirees and for active state employees. So
Also, I think that's a good platform for us to push to get our retirees more visible, for them to understand we appreciate their sacrifice and all the stones that they built to make the state as great as it is, and we're now working off their fruits of their labor. But we also have to understand you can't throw them to the wayside.
Yeah.
The state made a promise that we were going to take care of you when you retire. We're going to make sure you're good, and they're not holding up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
So we also got to make sure that our people are taken care of.
If you had one thing you would want your presidency to be known for 2 years from now, what would it be?
Ooh, and
that may be
so
something
many
you've
things.
not really been able to think through yet, but is there something that in your heart you think this is what I want to concentrate on the most?
I think the biggest thing I want to concentrate on is just having unity, bringing the entire association, all our different regions together, everybody working, looking down, almost like a football game, looking down the field. We have the same goals, and that's what we're fighting for. Everybody's hand in hand, or shoulder to shoulder, like this is what we're going to do, and we're going to fight for our association and our retirees. And I think that's important because a lot of times we're not all on the same page, and there's no way that we can affect change if we're not all on the same page with the same focus.
Unity is in short supply in this whole country right now. So I think that's a great goal. And I think it's something that we're going to have to work on every aspect of public life.
Especially in advocacy groups like SEANC that are focused on, one segment of the population that we need to be cohesive.
Well, and since members are the ones that decide everything, our membership is so diverse.
Yeah.
And our PAC, our Political Action Committee, represents that. But it is very hard to have, in this day and time where people are getting so sequestered off from one another in little groups or political parties or whatever, it is increasingly hard for groups that are very diverse to hold together around whatever issue brought them together in the first place and not get lost in the political noise.
So it's funny you say trying to bring everyone together. I actually seen a Facebook post that talked about the left wing and the right wing knew they were flying from the same bird. And until they realized that, we won't make progress because
that's a great way to put it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think y'all are going to do great things.
Yeah, we're excited
Hope
as a
so,
staff to.
That's the goal.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad to have a great group with me as officers. So I'm very excited. We have a younger board. So we have some newer. We have some seasoned.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good mixture. And I look forward to getting some fresher ideas and building some new leadership within the organization to help us move forward and actually do some things a little different than we've done in the past.
Yeah, I was building the web page for the new board coming in. We have it on our website, and there's a lot of faces on there that are younger and folks I didn't know. So, yeah, it's exciting to see some younger folks get involved. And
some of us are just using our picture from years ago.
there was this lady that said executive director, but I was like,
and you're like, who's that chick? With the brown hair. Oh.
She looks 30. Who is that? I'm sorry.
Very nice, actually. We'll take that. Threw your curveball, but I kind of wanted to get and I love that it was unity based on everything going on in the world, but wanted to get out there what your vision was, your goal. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about that the three of y'all together? I mean, it's interesting that you all come out of the background you come out of work-wise.
My biggest thing is, like I said, doing things regionally, start doing stuff regionally again, bringing back some of the old school things we used to do as far as how they lobbied and how we work, just work with each other.
Well, okay. And Emily, I know you're in the field a lot, and the two of y'all have been in the field as well. And when we say in the field, for any listeners, what we mean is going to events where we appreciate employees and talk to them about SEANC. And sometimes they decide to join. Sometimes they want to think about it. Sometimes they say no. And sometimes they say, join what? Because they really have just never heard of
the
SEANC.
credit union.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, I need a loan.
So we get all of that. But if you were talking to a state employee, or if there's one listening that's not a member but has happened upon this podcast, what would you give them as your pitch as to why being a member of SEANC is important to their life, to their work life, to their family's life?
What I normally tell people when I recruit other state employees, the biggest thing SEANC does for you is gives you advocacy and visibility in your workplace, because SEANC actually stands up for you. They fight for your pay, your benefits, your retirement, your safety in your job, making sure your HR is, you're covered, and if you have issues, you can get things resolved fairly and without a whole lot of stress.
What if they tell you, I get that anyway, you're fighting for me whether I join you or not?
Well, hey, but you don't have a vote. You can't affect our policy, and that's your voice is your biggest power. Being able to, we have impact. You get to talk to the legislatures, to talk to your representatives, and find out and hear from them what they're trying to do, and you can make better decisions. So that's your voice, and it's important.
It's true. And what about you, Emily? What would you tell what would you say to somebody if they're not a member and they're thinking about it?
Well, if they're not a member, I ask them, why are they not a member? And a lot of them have heard of SEANC. They've been to our events, and they said, well, I've thought about it, but I have enough coming out of my check. Or I thought about it. I meant to join last year, but I just haven't done it yet. So, okay. Well, now this year is your lucky year. And so we're going to make that happen. Fill this application out. But whenever they say, well, I'm going to get the same benefits whether I'm a member or not, I'll tell them, don't be a leech. Get your own membership. Just
that's pretty hard.
Stop mooching off of somebody else's $14. Get your own membership, because you need to have these good old insurances, your dental and your vision and your homeowners, your life insurance, pet insurance, all these good things that you could use, as well as SEANC Cares. If you are not a SEANC member and you have an issue, you can't call the office and gripe and complain and try to get help for your issue if you are not a SEANC member.
To get it resolved.
You can complain, but you may not harbor the support that you want because you're not a SEANC member. So we need for you to join so that we could advocate for you in the best way possible.
It's like our MERS say, our member relations reps. SEANC membership it does pay for itself.
It
usually
does. If you use your discounts correctly, it will pay for itself. And if you use our insurances, it's surely going to pay for itself over and over again.
Yeah.
See,
So why not?
They say they're getting the same benefits either way, and it's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
You don't
You're
get
really
those
not.
insurance
That's a good
products.
point.
Yeah.
Stacie, what do you say to them?
So pretty much the same thing that Emily and Wendell has discussed, point out the benefits of us advocating, and the more members that we have behind us, the stronger our voice is. And then also the insurances, because you do, save a lot of money with the different programs. There's programs that SEANC offers that the state does not offer, and it will continue after retirement. So,
And members chose those programs, by the way,
correct.
because they knew what was missing.
On the insurance board,
yeah,
right.
And the insurance board continues to seek out additional types of policies that will benefit the members. So having that voice, being able to say, hey, why don't you take a look at this, or can we look at getting this type of insurance? The insurance board does a great job of researching that information and make sure it's something that would benefit the members. So again, insurance and having that collective voice goes a long way.
Well, I think we may need to stop there because I feel like we're going to have all three of you on many times in the next 2 years. So we don't want to waste everything. But no, we really appreciate you coming in.
There was one more thing I wanted to say, actually, before they go. I'm sorry, John, I'm throwing you a curveball here, but all three of you, as I'm sitting here looking at you and listening to you, all three of you happen to have spent your professional career in jobs that put your life on the line. And there's been a lot of talk about those type jobs here recently, particularly. And I just want to say thank you, because you were not in traditional law enforcement, so you didn't always get.
Well, I
The
think
proper
maybe I
recognition.
failed to. I did recognize Wendell working at the correctional office. I mean, at the correctional institute. But Emily, tell us where you work.
Well, I worked at Central Prison for 10 years, and then I worked for Wake County Probation and Parole for the last 18 years of my career. And when I left, I was a mental health probation officer, and that was very rewarding for me. So mental health means a lot to me. So I will end my portion of the podcast by saying mental health is real, and if you are not okay, it's okay not to be okay, but make sure that you do something about that.
We're definitely going to have Emily back on. Our last 2 episodes have been about.
Yeah.
Mental
It's so
health.
important, and it's
Okay.
prevalent right now so much.
And Stacie, I know you work for a secret agency within the state. You're like a spy or something.
Ooh.
So I actually started my career working inside the institutions. I spent 10 years in the institutions, went to prison administration, and went to Special Operations Intelligence Unit for a while.
Okay.
But recently, last November, I actually took a position in the emergency preparedness section of adult corrections, which is a fairly new
That's cool.
section.
Okay. So you got out of the special forces and now you're doing something else.
Sure.
Don't you love the names we give to state agent or subsects of
Hey,
state
she should be your
agencies?
dad.
So yeah, I definitely have enjoyed my stint with the agency. I've worked different roles, and it's really opened my eyes up on what actually people do in these roles and how dangerous it can be at times, but also how rewarding it can also be.
Great.
Well, that's our leaders, y'all. People who literally have put their lives on the line for the public.
And now they're putting all their time on the line for you guys.
Exactly.
Using up all their free time to work for SEANC.
Every bit of it.
Hey,
But
hey,
I
we,
wouldn't change it for the world.
we do it because we love it.
That's
Great.
right.
Well, we look forward to working with you, and thanks for coming in.
We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you.
us.
All right, so a great interview with our officers who have graciously stayed in the room for the John's Wacky Weird Question of the Week. Play it.
John's wacky weird question of the week.
Awesome. And Emily knew the words before
I do
she.
know those words. Listen all the time.
So the first day of fall was a couple days ago, right? So we talked about it like a little premature. I think 2 weeks ago we had talked about when fall starts. And I don't know when the clock sets back. Do you know anyone? I think that's like in November, right? I don't know.
Usually around
I feel
Halloween.
like I thought it was near October.
Okay. Well, we have that to look forward to, another hour of sleep, right? But my question this week is, what is your favorite thing about fall? Just very simple. Wendell said he had a good starter for us.
Well, basically, my favorite thing about fall is hat and coat weather. I love hats, coats, and scarves. There's nothing like coming out the house with a big coat on, got your scarf, got your boots, ready for the streets.
You're like the Great Gatsby.
You do have some good hats. I've seen them at the board meetings.
Very fashionable.
I can never have been able to pull off a hat. I mean, like a baseball hat maybe, but like those nice fancy hats.
You just gotta go get fitted.
I think I need to work
and
with you.
just try different ones to find your style.
I think I need to learn from Wendell. He's so
Go with him. Let him take you to a hat
awesomely
place.
dressed, and he's always nice, and he's got opinions.
Take him under your wing, Wendell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with the president. now.
I'll introduce you to a tailor.
Look at him in those khaki shorts and whatnot.
Yeah, for real.
Take
Look at me.
him
I can
under
just
your
play golf.
wing.
So yeah, I got to get my game tight with Wendell here. What about you, artist? We'll go to you next.
Well, you know, I love the fair, so I'll go with fair.
Yeah,
I'll go with the fair. But
definitely the fair.
I also just like the smell of the air generally. Just,
Yeah,
it's a different smell.
Mm-hmm.
It's earthy, but it's good.
yeah. We haven't had any fall days yet, though. It's been like 90 degrees outside.
I think there were a couple that were,
they were premature though, right?
yeah.
In the mornings, it's a little nippy,
Yeah, I like
and it
that.
heats up during the day.
Is that yours? What's yours, Emily?
No, I think I'm going to take a page out of my grandmother's book. I love to go out west in the fall to see the colors of the
Oh,
leaves
yeah.
change.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah, we went to Hickory this weekend, and you could already see a little color.
You're
coming
kidding.
through there. Yeah,
Wow.
just my wife made mention of it. Maybe that's because we don't live close to the mountains, so when we see a little color, we're
Get
like, "Oh,
excited.
it's happening." What about you, Stacie?
So I like the smell of a nice crisp fire in the fireplace.
Waking up to that in the fall, that's a great scent.
When you said smell, I thought you were going to say pumpkin spice.
I'll pass on the pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
So Sam said to wait till the end for her. Are you ready, or do you want me to?
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
Well, it's homecoming season, and I was blessed with a very gorgeous school to go see in the fall, Western Carolina University. And so I love going up there during
Did you go to
homecoming.
Western?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you're in luck, Sam, because next week we are going to Western Carolina.
All right, Western Carolina, we're
The
coming.
UNC System Golf Tournament is up there this year. Was it Waynesville? Is that where it's going to be?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we're going to interview the chancellor at
Yeah.
Western Carolina. So
Yes, because Western Carolina has earned an elite distinction, and we're going to be talking about that next week.
Great.
get excited about that. I'll have to talk to you about what to wear up there. I don't know if I have any purple. Is that your colors?
Yes, purple and gold.
Okay.
Purple and gold.
So we have to. Can I wear an East Carolina shirt up there?
No.
I would think not, John.
No.
It's purple though. Right?
No.
Better not go
Oh,
up there,
wow.
you pirate.
Seems wrong.
Purple.
Yeah.
Speaking of purple, speaking of East Carolina, I guess mine would be football, specifically fantasy football. And I'm 3 weeks deep in my fantasy football. Not been going so great this year. I've had some struggles, but we're going to make some trades and we're going to make it happen this year because I'm bringing home the trophy.
So your favorite thing about fall, which is arguably in North Carolina the most beautiful outdoor time of year, is being indoors on the computer.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's like one of my favorite things, period. It's
At least
like,
he's looking out the window at the fall.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I watch the games. The games are outdoors. That's close enough.
Oh, my
right?
goodness. Wow.
Well,
What-
great episode this week. Thanks everyone for joining us, and look forward to Catamount episode next week.
Right.
Thank you.